Hi everyone. This episode of Take Charge Now has a little bit of a different spin. I've often focused on personal finance, but when you think about Take Charge Now, I want it to be so much more. I want it to apply to your life. And so I thought a good way to kick that element off is to share a little bit about my background and a mantra that I've always had in the back of my mind: change before you have to. Now, for those of you who know me, you know I didn't go to university, so I don't have a university or college degree. I have a grade 12 secretarial program, although I'm not very good at that. And I'm pretty sure I dropped math in grade 9, but if I didn't physically drop it, I probably started to ignore it. So to suggest that I am a financial wizard or guru would be a stretch. But I've come to love it. I've gone back and I've learned. When I graduated from grade 12, Mom gave me some very sage advice. Get out and get a job because you're not living here for free. And she meant it. She meant it. So I walked into a Bank of Montreal. I did secure a teller position. I've told the story before. They were being robbed. And I wanted my interview. I only had one fancy outfit. And they asked me to come back on Monday, which I did, by the way. But there were two candidates. I was the one that got the job, and not because I was the best candidate. I got the job because the other candidate didn't come back. They also witnessed the robbery. But needless to say, in that teller position, I wanted to be the best I could be. But I also saw other positions that I aspired towards. I wanted that job or that job or that job. And I did at the Bank of Montreal progress to the highest level in the clerical arena. I didn't think I could get into management. So I jumped ship and I went to TD, where I went into a management training program and then managed to progress to a senior vice president level. Now, looking back, and of course you reflect, I realized that it wasn't the Bank of Montreal holding me back. It was me holding me back. I had a limiting belief. I felt that if I didn't have a university degree, I couldn't progress. And they never said it to me. And the best piece of advice I got at the time was, get off your own coattails. The only person holding you back, Patty, is you. And I thought about that for a long time. As I managed to progress through TD, my husband Jim gave me a wonderful gift. It's not the best gift he's ever given me, but it was profound because he gave me a plaque for my desk that said, if you can dream it, you can do it. I know, Walt Disney, but there is so much truth to it. So if you're someone listening right now and you're thinking, I can't do something because of something else, ask yourself, is it a limiting belief or is it reality? Because the two are very different. One holds you back, the other frees you to go and be the best version of yourself. So after I progressed through TD, several positions, I found that I was on the road 4 out of 5 nights a week, speaking to wealthy clients who had over $25 million of investable assets. It was amazing. I loved it. But I was gone from my family, and for any of you who have had to travel, you know it gets very lonely, it gets repetitive, and it can be exhausting. And I also knew there was no further opportunity. I wonder if there really was, but I believed there was no further opportunity at TD. And so when I was offered a job to go on BNN and be the morning news anchor, I jumped at the opportunity. I thought, wow, I can take the knowledge that I've gained through banking over these years, and there were a number of them, let me tell you, and share it on a larger platform. The challenge was I was a horrible anchor. I mean, I really was. I was dyslexic. I didn't know it. How did I find out? I'm on national television reading Mitsubishi in the teleprompter, and I proudly say to thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of viewers, Mrs. Shitty. Now, I didn't get fired. I had a very, very good VP who had my back, but I also knew I had to get better. And so here's what I learned through this. I had a chance to speak to someone who was very experienced in the industry. And they said to me, Patty, you're in the right bed. So you know when you get into your bed at night and you know you're in the right spot, but you get into that same comfortable spot every night right before you fall asleep? Well, she said to me, you're in the right bed, but you haven't found your comfortable spot. You haven't found your authentic self. You're trying to be someone else on air that you're not. And I did have a bit of imposter syndrome. I'm not gonna lie. I thought, what am I doing here? What do I know about this business? And then I started to fall into place, to become me. So if you're having imposter syndrome out there, know that it's not unusual. We all can have it, but when you dig deep, you realize you've earned your right to be there. But once again, changing before I had to, I realized I didn't have a lot of longevity as an anchor. And I was invited to go back to TD in a more senior role than the one that I left. And I got to craft it. I started a show called Money Talk. I was able to write books there. I was able to go out and represent the brand, and I loved it. Then I realized again, where was I going to go from here? I wanted to continue learning. So then I moved back into TV, this time CTV, where ultimately after a decade I became the chief financial commentator. And the reason I went is not for the platform, not for the notoriety, for the opportunity to share the knowledge that I've gained throughout my entire career in a bigger way, to help people, particularly during the pandemic. But I gotta say, changing before I had to, and this on my doctor's advice, getting up at 3:30 every day because I was on the morning shows, was ultimately going to be detrimental to my health. And there comes a point where you have to balance both what you love and your health and make things work. And I reflected back on when I first started public speaking. I was at the Vancouver Financial Forum. I was in a room, and beside me was the wealthy barber, David Chilton. And David had the main platform. He had over 2,500 people in attendance. I think I might have had 20. Very humbling experience. On my way back from Vancouver to Toronto, I had that coveted single seat that you get by yourself. I used an upgrade. I was so looking forward to it. I saw David Chilton sitting beside someone else in the back corner. I politely said hi. Well, he asked the lady who was sitting beside him to come over and change seats with me so that he could have a word with me. And I thought, I don't know if I want to do this, but I did. And I'm so glad I did. The question he asked me is, Patty, why have you not gone out on your own? And I thought about it and I thought, well, I liked the backing of a large corporation. I wasn't sure I could make it on my own. I didn't know if I had the hustle in me. I do believe I have an entrepreneurial spirit. I just liked having it in a corporate environment. At that point in time, he said, you need to do this. You need to do this for you. And so after starting in the bank as a teller, progressing to a senior VP at TD, having 2 great jobs at CTV and BNN, I'm now an entrepreneur. And can I make it on my own? You bet I can. So I want to share with you, if you're concerned about next steps and having to change before you have to, think about this. Get excited about your life. Follow your passion. Have no regrets. No regrets. You know what? I make a decision. I move forward. I don't look back. I don't look to the future. What I do is I live in the moment. And here's what I want to leave you with. If you think of yourself as a giant bicycle wheel, you're the nucleus in the middle. So in my case, I call myself PLR Communications. And I want to grow this business right now. And so what do? Well, I've gone out and I have a long-standing contract with Home Equity Bank. I am writing articles. I'm doing things on TV and radio. I have speaking engagements. The reason I share this is that each one of those spokes represents a revenue stream for you. And the more you do, the more you diversify, the more momentum you get. I've always believed the next big thing is right around the corner, but I also believe in lifelong learning. And so I'm hoping that some of you will reflect. Don't let life become a series of takeaways. If something gets taken away from you, then replace it with something else. And the next big thing, it's just around the corner if you're looking for it.